Hey folks, okay, let's do a quick recap. How do we animate a product in Blender? So, because this design was built one body, one material, and one object, we can actually skip the OBJ export and instantly export everything as STL right inside Fusion. So right click Save STL. Then you get this dialog. You can turn on the preview for the mesh, basically shows you how fine it is. And the meshing is important because if we go low, it's kind of coarse. But if you have a more complex object to animate, the screen refresh during preview time might be better. If we go to high, the mesh is very fine, capturing all the details a lot better, but that might slow down things, but could be good actually for rendering. And the nice thing is we can export these different versions and later swap it out. So for our purpose, I just go with medium and you click OK. You can pick the location and just click save. I, for example, have my body 1, body 2, body 3. And for body 2, I have a high and a low res version. So let's go to Blender. We will go to File, Import, STL, Desktop. I can press B and drag over all those, or I can just with the mouse button and Shift import all. I set the scale to 0.01, Y forward to Z up. So this way the object will be imported with the correct scale. Click Import STL. And STL is just another geometry, like a mesh format. It just doesn't have UV texturing like OBJ. Next thing, we will go and zoom in. Let's select our body low res and I move this one out. I will select the body high res, move it to here, and woo, it cuts. So press N in case you don't see the property panel, go to view, and we set the clip start to 1 millimeter. Very good. So let's pay a little bit of attention to the meshing. So this is fine. This is medium. Whoops. And this is coarse. You can see how this is much coarser. Here we have our different objects. There, this is the object name. If we go to the object data, this is where we see the mesh. So this is, for example, high res. No, this is high res, and this one here, this is low res. Okay, so the low res body shows the low res object data. Check this out. If I click it, I can select to display different meshes. For example, the other side, or body 2, or body 1. So you see we can swap these things out. Because when we animate, we do not animate the mesh, we just only animate the object that moves the mesh for us. So this way we could, for example, make an animation with the low res, and then when we're done, we select all the objects, we import the high res versions, and then we simply assign the high res mesh to each object. So you see now here, this says 2, which means 2 objects are using the high res mesh. Okay, so that just as an explanation, but in our case, I think medium will be fine. So we delete the rest. Press A to select everything, or Shift left mouse button, click all, then right mouse button, shade smooth. We go to object data, normal, alt, and then click auto smooth. So all those are shaded correctly. Very good. This one we would like to be white. So we make a material white. On this up. Click this one. We apply the same material. Click the bottom. Yellow. There. Let's make this a nice yellow, and then I copy, so Control C. Mac and PC the same. Go to viewport, Control V, so I can see that there. Very good. Okay, so next thing, I would like to add a camera. I go to the, like an X view, Shift A, camera. Then I zoom out, rotate my view, move this to the back, press S to scale it, move this a little bit closer, press 0, then G, Z, Z, I can zoom in more, G and Z, and hold Shift, I can move this one up. So we nicely frame this. Pretty nice. Okay. We move this one up and switch the timeline to the graph editor. Click the left button, the left shell. And then here we zoom out with the mouse button. We zoom out by scrolling the mouse wheel. And what we will do now is create a keyframe. This is how our animations should start. So we need a keyframe. In the 3D view, press I for location. Let's go to 50. Then we move this one to the left. Here, let's say 0.04. And then press I keyframe. And then we go to 100. We do the movement with the right mouse button. And we set this back to 0 and press I. Very good. You see here, these are our individual keyframes. And with the right mouse button, if I scrub left and right, you can see I can play the animation. On the left side, we see the body that has an action, and the action currently shows the transformation. Y is the one we need to work with, so we can hide it. Go back to here, press A, X, and delete the rest, and turn Y back on. So it's easier to see. If we press the spacebar, you can see how the animation plays. But after 100, it continues. We want it to loop. So we go to Output and set this to 100. Easy peasy. Okay. With the middle mouse button on Control, if you go up and down, left and right, you can see you can compress or scale, stretch the view. Middle mouse button, we can zoom in. Scroll wheel, we can zoom in. Middle mouse button, we can pan around. And then middle mouse button and Control, I just stretch that view so I can nicely see my curve. So from one keyframe, the software makes a transition to the next keyframe, makes a transition to the next keyframe. And that is basically traditional keyframe animation. Exactly the same in all programs. It's just the way how that technology works. So let's do the same with the other object. We go back to frame 1, I, location, go to 50. We set 0.04. In this case, it's positive, so I. And we go to 100 and say here 0 and I location. Very good. And then also here we hide the Y. A, we select everything, delete, done. Very good. So both objects are moving. I, however, would like, instead of just here, then going back, I would like these shells to freeze for a moment. Hold Shift, left click the other object, and then we can select this keyframe and this keyframe, G and X. So with G we move, and with X we slide it along the left side. This is a two-dimensional coordinate system, so X and Y. In 3D we have X and Y for the plane, and Z is the vertical one. Now you see now we actually decided at frame 30 they already reached the ends. And at frame 60, I would like them then to go back. So these two keyframes, I need to make a copy and move to there. Easy peasy. Shift D, and then we have move mode, which is difficult to manipulate. Press X, because now it slides only, and go snap to 60. And there we are. And at 90, I would like the whole animation to stop. So I press AA, B, select all this, G and X, slide it to 90, set this to 90. Boom. That's what my baby daughter would say. Everything is boom right now. Or oops, or uh-oh. And occasionally lots of no, 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 no. Should teach her yes rather than no. Okay. The speed is pretty nice. So another introduction for you so you understand the amount of frames is really what defines the speed. Let's say I select everything with A, S, and X, scale it down. Let's see how quick that animation is. So the less frames, the faster the animation. The more frames, the smoother or slower the movement. I will undo this step. We're actually, let's say in terms of keyframing, pretty good. This is nice. Now, so Shane, the next part about the lighting you might have to ignore. We will have to see how we do this. But hopefully maybe you can do this on the IMAX in class, because we're going to use the Evie shading right now. This is for shading and animation. Evie is actually really great because cycles makes better results, but it can turn into each frame being very, very slow to compute. And with Evie, we have a much, much faster process we could use. So let's go to the world. We set the world to white. This is too bright, and maybe 0.25. So with a gray background. Maybe 0.1. We want to go to the render and turn on screen space reflections. So we will see that popping up. Ambient occlusion we can turn on too. You see this actually really nice. You see how geometry that's close starts to occlude each other. Awesome. And shadows, how we can keep this for the moment. Film. We can set this to the sky or transparent. With transparent will be a transparent background. Oh, just keep it at sky. So it's basically the gray of our background. And with color management, maybe a high contrast. Okay, good. So now we have to add some lights. I will slice this interface, zoom in a little bit, hide my tools, and then select the camera, make it smaller. Shift S, cursor to world origin. Shift A, add an area light. Move this area light up, way too strong and big. Energy 0.001 and size maybe 25 centimeters. Okay. You know, this already looks much nicer because we have some light. What happens when, where's the camera? There's the camera. When you rotate the camera, rotate the light and bring it to the back. You see it casts actually a nice rim on the edge there, but then we don't have any light in the front. So that is, for example, what I have to fix. Whoops, what did I do? Go to the top view, and now I will add another light. So Shift A, area light. There, very good. Also here, maybe 0.001 for the energy, 20 centimeters. Then I move it to there where the camera is, rotate it. You know, we shine the light right where the camera is. Press spacebar. Yeah, but this is kind of boring. So we'll go to top view. I will move this to here. I'll move my mouse in the graph editor to there, so I see actually where these objects are in terms of the animation. So I can use this as a reference to maybe illuminate my scene better. And this is maybe a little bit too weak, so yeah, this is better. We want to turn on shadows anyway. Also the same for this one here, contact shadow there. And we put this onto it. Hold 1 second. I want to clean out these values here. There. Very good. So, and then on the same grid, just on the other position there. Okay, I create a light and rotate it. There. Very nice. Let's take a look at how this feels when we turn the background to 0. And you see because of the gray background color, the lights worked a little bit different. So maybe in this case, we make this black so we can work more with the light strength. Dot 0.1. It's maybe too strong. Dot 0.005. So 50% is still pretty strong. 0.025. Can do the same here. Or maybe dot 0.035. Go to here, dot 0.035, and then here, that one, dot 3. Oh, there we get a really nice highlight. And nothing is actually down here illuminating it, so we can, if we want, see what we can do in this case. Can we somehow magically make a highlight pop up down there? So there it is. Very good. So I just place this light somewhere here because the camera looks at the object and it's like incoming angle, exiting angle. That basically is the whole spiel about creating these highlights. Cool. Okay. So all that is set. My animation, and there you see because of Evie, we can see everything nicely rendered. That's pretty cool. Maybe the left light we do a tick stronger. Let's see how this works. Then it's a white object and I don't really see the white reflection on it. So we have to be kind of like mindful of this, and it can blow stuff out too. So 0.035. Let's do the same here again. 0.0035. Okay, good. Okay, so that was this part. Never forget to save. And now, how do we create an animation? We specified in output our frame 90. Here we have 1020, 1080. That's the format. Let's set this to 20%. We go to output. I would like to select my desktop, and then Mac and PC. You should have AVI JPEG. Quality 90%. That's okay. Color RGB. Yeah, fine. Good. Let's go to here, render, and then render animation. And so instead of render image, we go render animation. And then you will see that the software will render each frame. And then currently, because we set the output to be AVI JPEG, it writes it into a movie file. Now, this is actually not necessarily the ideal way. Better would be if you would select PNG for the format, and then later you would have a bunch of PNGs and we stitch them together into a movie. So those who are now know how to select an image sequence and create a video from it, you can do this. For those who are not familiar with it, Mac and PC, you can just use AVI JPEG. The reason why you want not to save this as a video directly, let's say now my software crashes, boom, I'm somewhere done, I have an unfinished video file. If I just have images, I can continue rendering the missing frames and then I create my video. And there's my animation. Pretty nice. So this looks pretty good. And then I can set this to 100, render it out one more time, and then it is actually rendering out at the full resolution. So I have here my previous file, which I did. There are like two different setups for the lights. Here the lights are actually vertical and horizontally wide or stretched. Instead of going square, I use a rectangle. Because actually this looks pretty nice. What I had in here, there, so the background's a little bit brighter. There, the highlights are noticeable. So you need to balance out the background brightness and then the light brightness. So we will have a nice highlight on the objects. Yeah, and that basically concludes everything before spring break, your crash course into basic object keyframe animation. So you see, it's not too complicated. The last thing I would like to point out, very often, I saw that in class, if you're in here and you press A and you have everything selected and you press G, whoa, everything starts having seizures as being animated out of sync. So be very careful when you're in here, when you press G, you're instantly moving the keyframes. Sometimes it's easier than if you only have a few keyframes, just delete them and redo it. Gives you the good practice of understanding the sequence. Or just by selecting, for example, both. Now here then I can see that this is at this keyframe at minus 0.07. This keyframe is at, oh wait, sorry. So this one is at minus 0.007 and this one is at positive 0.07. And even here, if I press N and I scroll down, you can see actually the frame, so the position and the value. So this is really 0.07. So I can copy this one, go to here, and then I just paste this in and go to, oh, wah, wah, wah. I should not paste this in because, well, I can paste it, but I have to adjust the value, positive or negative. This has to be positive because this is above. So also here, paste, so boom. No, actually that stuff is more organized. I mean, that's one way, or for example, so here, which is this object, and then here we just remove this, press enter, and then you see, well, it didn't change. So the value wasn't kept. Adjust this, see it's orange. Now I press I again, and it adds then the keyframe value for it. Here, enter, right click, and do we have anything? Replace keyframe there. Let me undo this because you see only Y is actually keyframed, not the rest. I think keyframe. Oh. Or replace single keyframe. That's what I was looking for. So only Y keyframe we want to replace. So here, zip. There we can adjust it this way, and then there we do the same. Replace single keyframe. Go to there. there, and single keyframe. Yeah, perfect. So that basically is it about the animation. Obviously, there's more to it, and it takes a little bit of practice to familiarize yourself with it. But you saw that in general, it's a very simple technology. You just move in your objects, put them into place, start keyframing them, decide rotation, scale, because everything could be animated. We can animate also the scale. So let's say here, animate scale, go to 50. No, this is huge. And scale. There we see the scale animates. Let me undo these few steps. You can also even animate, for example, the color. So at frame 1, keyframe, and frame 90, a keyframe, and then at frame 50, let's say the whole thing turns blue, keyframe. And there you see that this is being animated. So literally everything can be animated, which is makes the program such a powerful animation tool. Okay, we will do more animations, small ones, throughout the semester. And this was just an introduction.